Hey, I'm Gavin Rossdale. I'm from the band Bush, and I am today's Man of the Hour.
After spending most of his life entertaining audiences on worldwide stages and screens, Gavin Rossdale brings an inspiring yet realistic point of view to this episode. We learn that it wasn't all about Gavin and his rock band Bush making it to the top, but the steady journey it took to get there. Thank you for being today's Man of the Hour. But what have you been up to for the entirety of this past year, which seems like such a blur for all of us? But where has all of this been settled with you before we get to the incredible new Bush Deluxe album that we'll be talking about in just a minute?
I've been, like everyone else, is trying to stay as safe as possible, being at home, and my life is completely at a weird standstill outside of the house. But I've been doing lots of promotional stuff for the record we had come out. Began to do some writing for another record, of course, and just generally overeating and trying to play a lot of guitar.
Yeah, because I mean, for you too, Mr. Rockstar, I think it's always been about the musical escape and how that has kind of added a lot of value to your life when things were to get stressful or, a little bit overwhelming. Because right now we're living in such an uncertain time, Gavin, and I think all of us can agree that we've had to find mutual types of escapes to allow us to deal with it. And so to dive into this conversation with you in particular, more specifically focusing on the idea of consistency, I remember reading that you had mentioned that it was, for you at least throughout your career, it's been a lot about steady growth and sustained creativity. And every time I hear that, I keep thinking that a lot of us are going through such a time where we would like to implement that into our life, and so where are your thoughts there in terms of how, maybe people can be thinking to be more consistent with what they want to do, especially right now?
I think it's something to do with working backwards and seeing what the effect of to be consistent. I mean, when I take what you're saying, consistency in the realms of these past few terrible months, is mean to sort of not slip out of your habits, not slip out of your lifestyle and sort of start losing perfectly identifiable elements of yourself. So that can be as simple as, as continue to reading a book or continue to work out, make yourself feel good about things, pursue things for the most part that will give you good results, and maybe don't indulge in things too often that make you feel horrible. So these small baby steps towards finding consistency of, we all have low days and darker days. But in order to have a positive outlook across all these challenges, I think that it's not wilting and becoming someone else. And I think that you can find ways to still maintain a lifestyle that you had before, a healthy lifestyle, despite the restrictions, So I think it sounds simple, but I think that's the idea. And I'm all about the reality that the things that you do. Sometimes if you look at people's life and you think their life is so together, and how come you can't have your life as together as that? It's to do with just small pieces of nourishment, of self-nourishment, whatever nourishes you, whatever you get nourishment from, to allow yourself those things and to find a good balance. So it's like from frivolous things, dumb TV shows, to interesting documentaries, interesting books, to reading something dumb about, on the interweb. So I don't know. I mean, what do I know? I'm fishing. I'm just thinking that the way that I find it, and to not sink into a hole and let this whole zeitgeist overwhelm me, is to do my little funny jobs and things that I like to do. Like I still train really hard at tennis. I still do guitar lessons. I still make sure that I'm reading something good even if I'm only reading 15 minutes of it, and I'm not a great person sitting, oh, I got 6 hours to read this book, man. Maybe I don't have that time. So maybe I'm just going to like spend 15 minutes reading it because that's better than not doing anything. So that's what I mean, these incremental small steps that just keep you part of what interests you about yourself, you know, as opposed to, you know, I remember that great, I don't know if you're familiar with Annie Hall, Woody Allen's a really early film of his, genius film. And the rabbi comes to see the kid. He's under the he won't do his homework. The university, the little kid Woody Allen goes, because the university is expanding. And the mother says, it's not expanding in Brooklyn. He goes, and so I just think that, I don't know why I told that story, but it was but yeah, it's the idea, this kid gives up. He's giving up because the universe is expanding. What's the point of doing his homework? He won't do his homework. What's the point? The universe is expanding. It's not expanding in Brooklyn. Essentially, that's how I feel about COVID, that you have to, if you can, if you're lucky enough, and a lot of problems coming with COVID, you know, there's a lot of abuse, you know what I mean? Yeah. Domestic abuse, you know, people lose their jobs. Go fuck yourself, I'm going to feel good, you know, what's happening, you know, people are really, really struggling. So I take everything a lot of humility about it to have a job that I can be on hold for, you know, I have a whole world of people that work with us to put on the tours, you know, techs, drivers, tour manager, you know, all these people whose livelihood is from touring. So that's taken away. So for me, I'm lucky enough I can switch my attention to, say, try out for a TV show I don't get or something like that, you know.
Do you think that'll come for you? You might.
Oh yeah, I just did that. I just did it.
Come on.
Yeah. It's okay. Self-tape. You can't get it. I have a movie coming out soon. I have a movie coming out at the top of the year, so that's going to be fun. But so I'm very mindful when I ever talk about this. My perspective on this time is got to be absolutely covered in the humility of people suffering on you know, economically, mentally, socially. You know, so it's a tricky one. You know, we basically do the best we can. I'm English. You know, we like have gallows humor, so we just always just do the best we can.
Do the best you absolutely can. Do you ever think that there's this idea right now that we are rushed or pressured to do a little too much?
Well, I think that with the COVID showed a lot of people that that's what was happening, and that when you took away that precipice from people's life, they suddenly noticed their family was there, or they noticed their partner was there, or they noticed they were alone.
Yeah.
And they had to come to terms with the effect of that being secondary to them, when a lot of people, all of us, make work our primary thing. But there's a book that I read many, many years ago, and it's The Secrets of the World's Most Successful Men, and 10 of the richest men in the world or something. And I just picked it up and glanced through it. And one of the things they said was, I do finish books as well, but it's this amazing thing, that the biggest regret for everyone, the singular regret, is working too hard and not focusing on families or loved ones or friends or themselves, you know. And when you see these guys, these guys running the world, you know, if I was 70 years old, if I was 60 years old, and I was a billionaire, I think I'd be like, I am out of here. I'll see you guys later. You know, you worry about your fucking Zoom and your Google Meet. I give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll send you some flowers, real nice ones. You know. And so I think that for sure people have seen that it's has a detrimental effect to give yourself fully to your work. And at the same time, as an artist, as a creative person, I know that if I didn't, and I don't give myself fully like that, then I'm gonna, then I can't win. You know, you can only win if you're arms stretched out, fully revealing yourself. You know, if you're slightly hindered or not quite, you know, one toe in the water, kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
It's not you can't be a dilettante. You know, when I first began, I was accused of sort of, if I looked all right, I couldn't possibly sort of be genuine. I always thought it was a really weird concept. And I guess through years of being in it, I guess that's it is. I am what I am. I mean, I don't think I'm that great. I don't think that I'm that special. But what I am is the pretty good version of myself, you know. And that person, me, I've managed to. I still have a, a fan base, and I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm very grateful every day.
Yeah. And then the almost near 3 decades that you've been in the entertainment business, and you mentioned like just a creative in general, you have to give yourself and your life to the work that you're doing with Bush and all that you guys have accomplished over the years. Do you think that looking back on everything you've done, now that we're in a paused moment, was there ever a contradictory aspect to work and life in terms of balance for you, or how did you balance the two?
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, it was a very, yeah, I think that in order to have that career early on, that does suffer. You know, for instance, you know, years on the road. You know, I think that I'm a perfect example of a divorced person who's in music. You know, probably if I toured less, I don't know if you know, who's to say how my life would be different. And you know, now I'm trying to find that balance, and 100% I lost that balance, and 100% had a detrimental effect. I mean, I effectively, when you sign up to go on tour and be in a band forever, you pretty much you rip your life apart. You know, you don't see anyone as much as you used to. There's no consistency as there used to, and there is that price to pay. And it could be argued that in my marital life, I should have probably been home. But it's weird, you know. Then I have now my single life, or you know, my life when I'm not married, and I tour 5 months of the year when I used to do it, and I choose those 5 months, and not all at once, but I break it up, and I could tour 10 months of the year. You know, in terms of the ability to play to a venue, and I just don't, because that's the balance that I take it. And my kids complain at times that I have lost that balance. The summer months, I'm away for 2 months at a time.
Sure.
They're not impressed by me. I'm not impressed by my paternal aptitude at that point. But at the same time, I say, hang on, you guys love sushi, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? You love sushi. I got to go sing for your sushi. So it's as simple as that. It's really just like basic. You stop costing that much money, and you want to live in, you know, I'm not going to say because I don't want anyone from that said place to hear and be like, oh, you know, but you know, so we can think of some examples. You know, if you're prepared to live there, yeah, let's do it. But we live here.
Yeah. And
Plus, I love it. You know, I also think like, you know, I think that when you can either be the type of person that has kids and the kids join you, like you know, oh, I've got to have kids. You know, I was not that guy. You know,
yeah.
I loved a girl who was that girl, and I was like, yeah, of course. You know, you guys would sort of say anything. You know, you're not listening to me. Of course I am. You know, yeah, I love you. Ah, me too. You know, yeah, I love you. I love. Yeah, love it. Yeah. And you do it, and then it becomes the most incredible thing. But it's a lot. But I think there's something weird. They learn that as long as they're secure, that, you know, there's sacrifices to be made. I mean, there are no free lunches, and so I'm all the time trying to give them good examples. But from my perspective, I'm not trying to be like, I'm a very imperfect person, and do as I say, not as I do necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
Isn't I think all of us are like that, Gavin. We give such good advice, but we don't necessarily take it. And
yeah, you know, because we're too busy figuring out, I made that mistake, so you didn't have to, buddy.
I'm helping you, so just take it and run with it, and I'll figure my shit out on my own.
Welcome.
So aside from the work-life balance, I mean, obviously you've got yourself to a point now where you are able to do 5 months out of the year instead of probably the whole year. You know, who knows, looking back at what had happened then.
Used to, yeah.
Right. For anybody who's struggling to pick up the next project, for anybody who's thinking about starting something new, maybe pivoting careers, what would you say is kind of the magic to creating something that's going to last?
The magic for me comes from the way that I was inspired by Francis Bacon, Lucian Freud, the British painters, figurative painters, and I just like the way that they inspired me, and Tin Pan Alley, how they work inspired me. So in my line of work, those guys went to the studio every day, 6 till 12. You know, then at 12 o'clock they had fun. Lucian Freud, I think, had 40 claims on his estate. Outside of 14 kids, 40 other kids. And so he was a very loving man. And Francis Bacon would go off to I studied these guys, and, French house, wheelers, just go gambling and drinking and living their crazy life. And then you had the guys at Tin Pan Alley work 9 to 5. And so the thread between those guys, or those three entities, is a consistency of work, showing up. And I can sit here in my studio, and the days that I don't want to do it, I know that I'm either going to make the skateboard trick or I'm not. When you ride a skateboard, when you go for a 360, you have to go for a 360, and you can't just sort of swivel a bit, swivel 180, forward, hop off, it's you go for it. So in terms of a project or creating things, and for me, creativity is everything, I sit down and do it. I love the idea of sitting around and being inspired at night, words, and there's a beautiful side to that, of course, and I'm not necessarily talking about that, but I'm talking about the nuts and bolts of making any project work is just sitting down and applying yourself. And the easiest thing in life is to have, the 17 reasons why now is not exactly the time. But soon that will come, absolutely. Got to do this, this, and this. The truth is that you got to go for that spin, and that full commitment is commitment in the consistency yields the results, And then you have the moments of magic where you can sit there for hours, nothing happens. But remember, if you're not in that space, that brilliant idea that you finally came upon can't surface, because if you decided, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go surfing, it's going to help me. That could be a good thing. Because to me, it's everything feeds what you're doing. So if I'm trying to think in parallel to what your listeners and how they can glean inspiration from it, I always give myself time to do everything I want, to work out, play tennis, go swimming, whatever it is, sit down, eat a donut, read a book.
Yeah.
Do that, and then commit to putting some time in. And it's only the time in that you start to get out of the way of yourself and you do your best work. I get out of the way of myself. It's like I can just get rid of the first bit. Thank God for that artifice. Get rid of that. That was like my raincoat. Now this is me.
I've thought about that too. It's unless you're in a mindset of creativity and motivation, it's almost difficult to even put anything into action. Because I know some people get overwhelmed. And you mentioned time. People start thinking, oh, how much time is it going to take? And, oh, I'm going to have to do all this work. And sometimes you do get to a point where you want to go for a quick swim or a quick run, or kind of give yourself some creative freedom, then dive into it for however long makes sense after you find that inspiration. Have you found that helpful for you?
Yeah, I think that, as long as you don't get I think that the way I do it, for me personally, works best to get all those things out of the way. I don't find myself in the process of being in my suit then going, wow, now's the time I really want to go and do a handstand for 20 minutes. No, I would do that first. So and in fact, I have a sort of a condition of, I don't like to make evening arrangements when I'm going to commit to writing, to being in the studio, because I know that I might sit there for a few hours and nothing might happen, and then I'll just wait for 5 minutes for it to happen. But if I've got to be ready at 8 o'clock, it's just, now you've ruined my day, my focus. I like to get everything done and then have a clear schedule for my project. And then you just do sort of bouts of it. And then if you do 3-4 days, you can say, you know what, and tonight I have, see buddies or whatever you do, Now with COVID, you can't do too much anyway.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. No, I'm glad you bring that up because I think a lot of times the reason I wanted to ask you that in particular was simply because I think people are struggling right now to find creative inspiration. You know, we're locked up in the houses
Really?
time now, and from what we're hearing, it just seems like it's hard enough to get started in a time like this, let alone think about how much time and effort will go into it. You know, and so no, I'm glad I've gotten your take on that. So I guess now, without further ado, we have to talk about October 30th and the Bush's Kingdom Deluxe Edition album. So, what went into this? What is it going to look like for everybody? And then, most importantly, what does it mean to you, especially all these years later with Bush?
It's very exciting. You know, I chose 12 songs to have a much more succinct record, you know, so that people did want to use it to work out, did want to go on a drive, you know, like any more than that, you start getting into someone's voice about who they are.
Yeah.
And I didn't know we were doing a deluxe. And then we happened to, we had some extra songs I hadn't been able to include. So I was like, can I include those songs? And I also had the incredible honor of working Mike Garson, Bowie's longest serving musician. He asked me to, would I do a song for Music Hairs with him, a Bowie song. And so I had to think about it, and it was pretty fun going through his catalog, choosing a song that I'd like to sing. And I asked Mike if he'd done ever a version of Heroes, which of course is like one of the most beautiful songs ever, written with Brian Eno and one other guy, whose name I don't know actually, I'm sorry, but there was a third guy. And so we did a version of it. And then in doing that, which was really beautiful, I love singing to the piano, you know, I don't often get a chance for that. I asked him to play on Undone, which is the ballad on the song, on the original Kingdom record. So it was a really good, it was an incredible experience. And I had to record 2 songs with him. So the extra tracks on the deluxe lead off with Heroes, which is so weird for me. Like, I love Bowie, and was very lucky to count him as a friend of mine. And I don't know that many famous, but he was incredible. We toured and we stayed friends. And he had a million friends, I'm sure. But it was very powerful to be asked to do that and to sing the song, and to have him be part of a Bush record in its own way is first time I'm thinking about it now as I talk to you. That it's pretty very special to me. It's 5 years since he passed away, and so Mike's already asked me. I'm singing a song in January at a big show that I have with him. So yeah, it's all good things.
And another great way to celebrate too, you all will be doing drive-in concerts across Southern California for, I believe, 2 nights. So when, I guess we're still in the midst of these crazy pandemics, and when you guys decided to do drive-in shows, you know, how do you all plan to make that pretty spectacular, I'm sure?
That's a good question. We haven't got to the creatives yet, and I'm wondering, because last time I asked, it seemed to be quite bare bones. It's like, so what's the production like? We go, you know, people in their cars, I guess they're thinking, they got windscreens. What are we going to have? Pyrotechnics? No, I don't know. We'll make it look beautiful, and we'll do the best show we can. It's going to be strange. Do I get to jump out and jump across
crowd
rooftops?
Surf and all that, right? I wish.
We'll get to BMX. Let's get a BMX bike. Let's get some speed. Oldest BMXer in town.
Yeah. Stop. Well, you know, we'll get to that soon enough. I'm sure you'll be able to crowd surf, BMX, and do all that stuff back in person. But for now, it's great to see that you guys are going to do an in-person drive-in concert.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because they sell the tickets by cars. So you could have one person in the car, or you could have 4. I don't quite know how they're going to do all that.
Or 10.
So I think it's, like a circus, you know. It's going to be great just to have that feeling, and, you know, just be in the huddle with the boys and give the count before we go, and, like, you know, I don't know. I just sort of thought some really lame, you know, cars, material. I don't know, it'd be strange. It's the thing about music is we really depend on the energy, the combined energy of the crowd. So we'll be like, everyone start your engines now. You know, like, what am I saying?
If it isn't asking them to start their engine, tell everybody to get their mask on, jump on top of their car, and show you some love. And I'm sure you'll see 10 people in an SUV roof.
And if they like it, they got a beep.
Yeah. But it'll interrupt your music. You'll be like, wait, stop beeping. I got to keep singing.
Yeah.
We'll see how it looks, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless. The deluxe album is, I'm sure, very incredible. Can't wait to listen to it. And then to see these drive-in shows come to life will be very exciting too. Gavin, as today's man of the hour, I have one final standing question for you. And I want you to think as deep as you can about this. But if you had to leave one reminder after all the bases we've covered throughout this conversation, if you had to leave one reminder with all of our listeners and viewers right now, what would that be?
The basis of everything I've said has been about the best way you can believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. And you've done it. I'm so glad you've stopped by the Men of the Hour podcast to spend some time with us. And I believe everything we've covered, I know will serve people in a way that it helps us better understand how you've come such a long way as a rock star with Bush all these years, and then to give us some updates on what's been happening in your life. We truly appreciate you and your time. So thank you so much again, Gavin Rossdale.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate that very much.
Justin Crawford here, and I'll be back next week with another great guest on the Men of the Hour podcast. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review right here and anywhere else you'd like to listen. Also, check out our Instagram and YouTube channels when you get a chance and see the full video interviews with our guests at Men of the Hour podcast. Thanks for listening. Now get out there and make a positive change for yourself and those around you.